that out. First off, welcome to week 17, documenting the Hack Reactor bootcamp extravaganza. If you're watching this like 3, 4, 5 years later in the future, this video probably doesn't mean anything because by that time, technology has shifted so rapidly that what I've been doing in this bootcamp is not practical to the 3 to 4, 5 years later from the time of this filming. Anyways, what you're seeing right now is a part of Colombia called Chinchiná. Chinchiná is just north of where I am currently based out of in Colombia, here in Santa Rosa de Cabal. Now, the reason why I'm showing it is because myself, my girlfriend, my suegra, and a friend of ours, and 2 dogs, walked from an area of Santa Rosa de Cabal called Lembo all the way to just about Chinchiná before we got picked up by our friend's husband, who drove us to the town itself, and we're able to sit in the central park area of the town and enjoy some coffee. I had a mochaccino. Mochachinos and mochas are not very common here in Colombia, so if you ever plan on having one, you're probably gonna have to spend a lot of time just testing out different cafes because it's just not as common. When it's not as common, you're probably not gonna get the quality that maybe you're used to in other parts of the world. But at the same time, that presents a great opportunity for bringing the valuable product of mochachinos to the market that are offered more than they are right now. And speaking of coffee, I'm drinking a Tinto that we happen to buy coffee from at this town that we're in. Let's actually fast forward so you can actually see a little more of the town, because it looks like a normal town, a normal Colombian town. It actually looks like where we currently live in Santa Rosa de Cabal. So yeah, this is the park itself. The church looks very kind of similar to where we live. We were actually very close to this footage right here. There was an outdoor cafe place, and that's where we stayed. It's a really great place to just people watch and hang out. It's a nice, safe environment too. So definitely on the Saturdays and the weekends, Saturdays and Sundays, it's quite busy. Quite busy. Common place to go in Colombian towns is certainly the plaza, because a lot of Colombian towns, the architecture and the layout of a town is pretty much similar everywhere you go. A lot of times, there's always pretty much the tallest building is a church, and that tallest church, the church itself, is generally like of elegant architecture for the town standards, and it's always built around the plaza. And the church itself is generally open all hours of the daytime, where you're able to go in and take in the scenery. So that's what we did yesterday. On my Saturday, to give you an idea, let us change Google Maps into a lighter view. So we are in really right outside Pareda in Colombia. We're in Santa Rosa de Cabal here, and we ended up walking from where our friends live north of Santa Rosa called El Lembo. So we walked from here with our 2 dogs, or the group we had 2 dogs. We walked from here all the way through like this jungle area. We only go through like this really small town called La Capilla. There's probably only less than 100 people live there. We walked all that way back to the highway until we made it into another departmental called Caldas. And in Caldas, we stopped along the highway to eat lunch. And then from here, we got picked up by our friend's husband, and he drove us closer into Chinchiná, where we got to have that experience. And I'm hopefully looking forward to going back there again, just to spend more time experiencing what the town has to offer. It's not anywhere near as touristy as Santa Rosa de Cabal, but that said, pretty much that economy does seem to be based around being located around the coffee region of Colombia for the producers, and a lot of that creates different opportunities for experiencing the town through high quality coffee, some really nice restaurants, and outdoorsy experiences when it comes to taking in the Campo side. Now let's shift from doings in Colombia to the third to last week, I'm saying that right, the third to last week of my time in the Hack Reactor course. This is the write-up I did for this week, week 17 documentation on my Medium article. However, I'm going to pivot and go into our completion. We, as a group, I was on a group of 5 people. our team of 5, and we completed our Module 3 project this past Friday. We turned it in and submitted, and it was a full stack application to achieve our MVP, our minimal viable product. So outlining the goals we wanted, the functionality we wanted for that. So what you're seeing right now is our GitLab repository and our README file and all the files, the structure. I just want to give a special shout out. Jason is based out of Montreal, Quebec. Jeanette and Leland are both based out of Tampa Bay, and Sabrina is based out of New York City. And to go even further depths about like how diverse our team was, I'm from Alaska. Jason's from Montreal, Canada, but his like family origins Korean. Jeanette Gonzalez, she lives in Tampa Bay, but her family origin is Cuban. Leland Pham is living currently in Tampa Bay, Florida, but her family origin is Vietnamese. And Sabrina, who's living in New York City, I can't remember where, I think somewhere on like the Staten Island side, if I'm getting that right, hopefully I am. Her family origin is like Ukrainian Russian. So that's a pretty diverse group of individuals coming together to perform, what else? Software duty. But all in all, I just want to highlight and share publicly that I'm really grateful that I was a part of this team, and throughout the 5 weeks of working together on a daily basis, Monday through Fridays, and one time on the weekend. We got along really well from a working standpoint, and I really enjoyed the process of designing with my team, building with my team, and of course debugging, because debugging can take a long time just to resolve one small issue. So throughout the entire work process, everybody was very professional, very fun to work with, easygoing, and very focused too from that standpoint, and everybody contributing massively to the project. And I'm just really grateful for how luck went my way for the team that I was assigned to for this Module 3 project. And in the end, we built our project so they have the ability to create a user. Then user is able to upload images of photos of their clothes, and then from there, those images will be displayed like a 5-day calendar or planner that then pulls Open Weather API to show the 5-day forecast for where that individual is based off of, and then they can select for each day of the week the outfit they want to wear based off of their closet they have. And to just add on that, the last like 2.5 days before we turned in our project, we had to deploy it. And the way we deployed it was something new that hasn't existed before in the cohort for Module 3 for Hack Reactor, and that is using their in-house cloud service called Cirrus. And certainly anytime you're working with something new, there's always going to be moments of roadblocks or having to pivot or just having to problem solve more often than not. And certainly that was the case, but I'm grateful that was what happened, because that emulates exactly what it's like just on any real project where money and capital and resources are on the line. So what am I trying to say? I'm trying to say that we deployed our project to the in-house cloud service that Hack Reactor has built, and it is currently deployed on this website here. Now the thing is, though, we were able to deploy it, but we're having issues with how it communicates with the server and being able to actually create a user instead of how it displays on our localhost 3000. But at the end of the day, it's been deployed, and that was a very, very valuable learning experience in itself, was working with 4 other individuals and deploying a full stack application on a new tech stack that doesn't have as much documentation, and just working through that process, being patient and problem solving and allowing time to help with figuring out, because after all, a lot of things just take time, and being patient with the process. Wow, I'm sounding like a life coach all of a sudden. I promise you, I'm never going to pivot, or I'm never going to pivot. I'm never going to want to come across that way. I just being genuine. Let's put it that way. Just being genuine with yellow, rosy shaded glasses. There's no roses there, but it's certainly yellow. But yeah, I'm just really grateful that this project has come to an end with our time. Definitely group members were saying like on Thursday and Friday before the project was due, like, ah, man, we're really glad that this project's coming in. We're ready to just move on to the next aspect of our career, job search, working on other projects, things like that. But I just want to give a public thank you to my team of corporate espionages. And yeah, thank you for making the past 4 to 5 weeks of this module 3 a very valuable learning experience when working with other engineers remotely on a full stack application. And I'm really grateful we all decided to work on this project mob style, where we didn't have that much work time distanced apart. We always were in the same Zoom room and working on different aspects of the projects together, so that each one of us could fully understand from the project's start point to the project end what was being built, why we were doing things a certain way. And I think that's very invaluable, important when it comes to just understanding the projects that we're building and the skills that we are looking to achieve and become more proficient at. Yeah, and to cap off what else I did this week outside of group work, I spent a lot of time outside of group work and improving my knowledge when it comes to LinkedIn Learning courses. As always, I'm a big fan of LinkedIn Learning courses. I think up to this point, I'm just almost at 30 I've done so far. So I'm just going to highlight some of the ones I've done so far. This week, did a DevOps foundation. So that has to do with continual integration and continual deployment of your application. I did a quick introduction to semantic kernels, and that has to do with using Microsoft's software that they provide to developers for building AI-based apps. I did a landing a Mang job behavioral interview questions, not so much because I'm interested in landing a Mang job anytime soon, but just getting my head around and putting my perspective into interview mode and just how to come across as a good interviewee. Generative AI for digital marketers. I did quite like this one. This was like a learning path one that LinkedIn Learning course does, which is an AI Academy, and it really actually delved more into how LinkedIn's AI works, for how the platform works and how it helps users with finding high quality jobs that match their interests, or recruiters that match their interests for who they're looking to employ, or also just making the user experience much more applicable to each and every single user's likes and dislikes. These were all tied to the LinkedIn Learning course. I also did one from a lawyer about how to tips to win arguments and influence like a lawyer. I have to say that after I took this course, later, like the rest of the day, I just found myself following one of his tactics, which was anytime you're listening to somebody from a standpoint of whether it's arguing or a person sharing their opinion, always responding by expressing your body language as being like you're present, you're listening, and just like shaking your head and saying like, I see what you're saying. I understand what you're saying. And then transitioning to what you want to say back to that. Did one on software testing foundations, because also this week we had to write 5 total unit tests. That's something new that we've never done up until this point and throughout all 3 modules. And so each one of our team members created a unit test for different functionality of our application, and that is why I decided to learn more about unit tests when it comes to software. Introduction to artificial intelligence. I think that was like 9 roughly in total. And then more in detail had to do with like last week's practice test, or earlier this week from week 17, the practice test, because on Monday we have the test coming up for module 3. And that just had more to do with like essay questions going with specific algorithms like bubble sort, merge sort, I'm sure coming up on the exam, we're going to have something that has to do with maybe like the radix sort, or the bucket sort it's also known as, or selection sort. These are just how I would describe what these sorts are in my own words on my LinkedIn article, or a quick sort. These are very common questions that one might see in an interview situation, because it seems like traditionally speaking, when it comes to interviews done for software engineering positions, or like interviews in the tech space, a lot of them can be dealing with like algorithmic or data structured questions. And it almost seems like it's going to be more and more going that direction, at least in the short term, especially with so many with so many tools coming out that allow for individuals that have no coding experience, the no coding apps. That is really, I feel like, making a shift for how we would define a skillful worker in today's economy in the tech world, because a lot of coding now, but certainly over the next year, is going to be integrating more and more, whether it's from large language models or things with AI related or other tech aspects that fall underneath that umbrella of AI, are really going to be, in my opinion, transitioning to how an individual would go about developing and programming. I know I've read several articles on Medium where individuals express their opinion, but also they share perspectives from like their manager, for example, their product manager on a software team, that's saying that they believe very soon, that front-end developing, there's not really going to be a need for it whatsoever, because of numerous AI tools will be able to do everything that a front-end developer is able to do at certainly a much faster and cost-effective manner, potentially. But it certainly seems there's a lot more individuals talking about that now than there were 6 months ago, or how long have I been in this industry? Since last November. So yeah, like seven or 8 months ago. Well, here we go. Binary search is another topic covered. And SQL syntax. We don't really cover all these, but just to give you a better idea, that was also in the practice exam of just explaining what is the difference between like inner join, left join, and right join, and then also write out syntax so you can return a table from a data set that is being requested. And just a little more data structure elements with depth first search or tree data structure. These are linked learning courses. And the last thing I do want to share, when you are doing the Hack Reactor coding bootcamp, as well as I imagine other coding bootcamps, they partner with whatever other companies or software, and they provide their graduates with access to that software. In this case, Hack Reactor works with a company called Huntr, and they have a software that helps with tracking your job applications from the time you can, like, for example, build a wish list. You can then apply, so you move this over when you apply, and then you can then categorize it by you got rejected or no response, you had a phone interview, you're moving through the interview process. But this software, the purpose of the software is to help with managing the numerous amount of applications you would be dealing with when you're applying for different tech roles, and that is something that's provided to you with Hack Reactor. We got this, I think, early on in Module 3 or at the end of Module 2. I can't really remember, but I'm certainly going to be using it more and more over the next week and two. So yeah, just to conclude, Monday is the final exam coming up, and then we're just on to career service stuff. I believe we're doing project presentations this coming Thursday, and so this week 18 and 19 are all just around career service. And yeah, that is pretty much it. Pretty much done with the program, and looking forward to moving on with the next step in my career, and just continuing learning and doing. Signing off for now. Check out other videos that I've recently done or write-ups on Medium when it comes to myself and my girlfriend going to Salento in Colombia, and also just sharing a little bit about my experience of becoming baptized in the Catholic Church here in Santa Rosa de Colombia. bow. Don't want to miss that one, because if you're an extra guy extra hero in my position, and you're dating a Colombian, might be something you want to consider for having a, just if you want to have like a serious, purposeful relationship and growing it, you might want to consider that. I'm not saying you should do it, because I don't believe there's one thing that everybody should do, but definitely something to consider. All right, sign up for now. Xander, software engineer, Xander the humanist, I don't know about humanist, but Xander Rubio, sign up for now. Check you in next week's episode, week 18. Ciao, ciao for now. Nos vemos. Muchísimas gracias por tu atención. Y ciao.